All right, good morning, guys. Was able to get this differential installed yesterday evening, so I was going to show it off in the car so that everybody can see what it looks like when it goes in. And we got this nice bracket in the front here for the pinion support. So a couple key notes on this. It went in perfectly. This three-piece bracket in the front, you remove these side clamps and you leave the bottom crossbar installed, and then this differential kind of just goes up through the bottom, just like you would with your stock diff. I started this back bolt first, and because it can kind of rest on this piece here, so I just up and in with this piece, pushed it up, got the back bolt going, pushed it up again, did the front one, and then kind of just loosely fit these pieces and slid this back bracket in that holds the rear. So what I wanted to mention is just how nice this fits. This actually, it's massive. It's way bigger than your standard YXZ diff or your aftermarket case OE gear diff like the Packard I used to have. This actually went in easier than the Packard, in my opinion, mainly because you're not fighting with this back bracket. This bracket is one piece machine, so this was all one block when it started life. So it's very precise. The fitment between the tabs is perfect with the ID of the width of the case here. So this just slipped right in. Everything lines up perfect. All my bolts were on center of the factory slotted holes. So I mean, it really honestly couldn't be any better than it is. Keynote here is this fastener that he uses that goes through this case is actually a real long shoulder bolt, which means it has a real, basically like a 1/2 inch diameter shoulder that is the full width of the case here. So there's no threads inside the ears of this tab, which is really important, for vibration. You basically have a smooth bore through this tab, through the case, through this tab, and then that shoulder sticks out, and then you have the threads. So the threads are basically just there to contain that bolt. That way, with vibration and stuff over time, if you have a threaded bolt just going through a through bore like that and you got vibration, the threads end up eating the inside of the material out. So extremely well thought out. I mean, this is a very expensive piece of hardware. I wouldn't be surprised if this bolt was like $40 or $50 just for that long specialized shoulder bolt. That's something that we would use like in a high-speed automation, assembly line type application where it's using, there's a lot of cycles, a lot of vibration, and it has to be robust for an indefinite amount of time. So props to Cole on his engineering. This is just one small example of how well this thing is thought out. Now you come up to these front brackets. This is also, in my opinion, a pretty ingenious design. Since you have an angle here and you got an angle over there, this thing is basically fully captured, because when this diff is trying to, lift the pinion, which is what's going to happen when you do a launch, these brackets can't go anywhere because they get, they're on an angle, so they get jammed up or down. They're pretty much, at this, whatever this is, probably a 7-degree draft angle. Absolutely 100% locked in, like couldn't be any more solid than it is, and it fits perfectly. The attachment point at the bottom here is I don't know, it's a 3/8 by 24 fine pitch, real long bolt. It's got about 1 inch and some change of thread engagement. And this is another example of why, I think he's really thought this thing through. This fine pitch bolt is really good for finite torque. So you could put a coarse thread screw in there, but with this fine pitch thread screw, when you bring this thing to torque, it really is putting some force here. Now that being said, in my opinion, this screw is pretty much unnecessary. And the only thing this screw is doing is basically holding the weight of the front of this thing when it's in a stopped position like this, because anytime this differential's under load, you know, you're pushing up against this bracket. So if this screw was not there, this bracket would still do its job just as good as it is with the screw there. But that's, you know, that's good. I mean, that's bringing a gun to a knife fight. You know, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. It's always been my adage, which is very apparent in this design. Zero complaints on anything how this goes in. It went in absolutely perfect. I had no issues with anything other than I put a little scuff in right there. So that bothered me. That was just me doing this with, you know, by myself, one hand lifting it up in here. Hoping I can get that polished back out. You can't see it, but that's just me. So Avenger drive line. You got your big CV on the front here, drive shaft, you know, pretty much standard, goes into the transmission just like your stock one does. Worth noting, unmodified sway bar. So you can see, and this car does have an alternator kit. It's got my prototype on it, which these brackets ended up being a little bit thicker than our production piece. There's variances in these car chassis. So like you'll see, for instance, one car, you know, differential side will just go to a car with a stock differential in it. You'll see some of them will have like, you know, maybe 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch of clearance between the drive line and the top of the sway bar. And another car might have like, you know, less than 1/8 of an inch. That just comes from the sag in the chassis. So, you know, there's no way to account for that, but Cole does offer a different shortened bushing to go into the sway bar bracket if you end up with one of the ones that's really low. Mine, you know, it's perfect. I got about, I'd say almost 200 thousandths of space there. So that's cool. No custom sway bar. Other thing worth noting is there's the factory oil filter. You're not changing any of that stuff. And that's achieved through, you know, the ring gear position on the spool. So I believe what he did is, you know, he's moved that pinion over to give you lots of room for the oil filter, and you got lots of room for the engine. And you know, this is just nice looking too, versus having a U-joint there. And in my opinion, it's you know, it's got a better life cycle. I mean, a U-joint is used on your road vehicles, all, you know, for hundreds of thousands of miles. So there's nothing wrong with a U-joint, but the CV is just you know, next level. If you can, that's the best way you could do it. So that's why I'm pretty positive he chose to go that way. But anyway, that's what it looks like in the car. Amazing. You know, I deal with a lot of this aftermarket stuff, and not just these side-by-sides, but on road vehicles and high-end sports cars. I mean, you name it, we work on it. And rarely do you ever see something that is this nice, that fits this good. I'm honestly a little bit beside myself at how well this thing works out. It's a high dollar part, but you know, you are absolutely hands down getting what you paid for. You know, there's not anybody that's going to buy this and say, you know, I overpaid for this piece. I mean, once you actually have this thing in your hands or in your car, you know, it's very apparent what you have purchased. So anybody who's on the fence for that reason, consider this. You know, and this is, his price is a full kit. That's everything you need. Gets it in the car. You know, you don't have to buy a bunch of extra stuff. You don't have to modify your frame. You don't have to use special axles. You know, everything is integrated into it to work basically as an OE part. So super trick, very well thought out. I'm very happy with it. Other thing is case height. It looks a little skewed on my camera here, but you know, this is just above the frame. So skid plate, you know, whatever you want, no problem, goes right in there. It's not hanging down. You don't have to custom make something to protect it. So that's that. Oh, one more bit here is Mike's stator cover with his screw-in oil adapter. We did put this on too. I did a video on this a couple months ago, but finally just got around to putting it in. So no more O-ring. Nice threaded metric fitting with it says a ORB style fitting with metric thread pitch to my -10, and gives you lots of clearance. And this is a swivel, which is nice, so any vibrations you get in the hose, it's not going to loosen itself up or cause a leak. So anyway, there it is, guys. Appreciate you, and check out Cole's product, juarezperformance.com, and we'll talk soon. Bye.